This was the Men in Black cartoon opening theme. I don't know, actually. I think it might have been DJ Jazzy Jeff, to be honest. I think that he might have been the one that did it. But I'm not 100% certain, though. Hello, and welcome to a brand new episode of Dylan Knows. This is Dylan Lang. I'm talking without my headphones today. I guess it's going to be okay. I guess you guys can hear me. I think I've tried it before without headphones on before, but I wasn't ready. Yes, let's just do a test here and see if I can do an episode without my headphones and see if I need to have them on next time. I'd probably put them on next time anyway because it's more fun. But hey, I got to quit talking here because it's a brand new episode of Dylan Knows. Episode 411, Fat Bear Week. And yeah, that's what's going on. We're talking about fat bears this week. Book of Boba Fett has a date now. Amazing football stuff, some new trailers, some deaths, some candy, some casting, clown shortages, anniversaries. It's a short one. I got 2 pages worth of stuff, probably about half an hour. The NFL halftime show has been, Super Bowl halftime show has been set. As I said, casting stuff, some museums opening up, Six Flags is shutting down, kind of, and stuff like that. So we got some other stuff, like some interesting things going on. It is October 2nd. No. Yes. It is October 2nd, 2021. And first thing we're talking about this week is let's cover why this episode is called Fat Bear Week. There is a national park in Alaska called Kitmai National Park. And I think every year they do this. They have a big bear population up there, obviously. So obviously we know that bears are in the process of fattening themselves up to get ready for hibernation, since they're going to be going underground to their caves and won't be leaving for about 3 to 4 months. So they need to be able to survive. So they need to fatten themselves up and live off of their fat. So it's an amazing thing that I've never understood in the animal kingdom. But hey, it's we got it and it's taken care of. I'm hoping. What is that? Does that say microphone? Let's just make sure. Yes, Google Chrome is using your microphone. Yes, so that's fine. So that means it's being recorded over there. So all good. Anyway, so what they decided to do is, since they have a lot of these bears and they've been, following them around at a distance probably and taking pictures of them periodically to see what they've done. They do is they take pictures of them during the summer when they're kind of skinny-ish, and then how they look now, and then you vote on who you think is the fattest, chonkiest bear, and it's done in a style similar to a bracket, like the NCAA does, and the winner, I don't know, just gets to go around and say that they're the fattest bear in the world. So it's pretty cool. I like that, and I think that's a neat little story to go with that. So good on that. So good on Alaska. Speaking of Alaska, Fairbanks announced today that they have gotten some snowfall. This isn't the first place it's gotten some snowfall. Anchorage got some last week, I think, and another location, which we'll talk about in a little bit, got some as well. Yeah, so I guess my wife is going to do a spin out wheel. So I'm periodic issues with our refrigerator, so it's cool enough, but it's not. You know what I mean? So things will seem a little off. The Book of Boba Fett is spinning out of The Mandalorian on Disney Plus. Speaking of Star Wars, like my new Halloween outfit t-shirt. But instead of Mandalorian season 3 coming out in December, like many people were expecting, we were surprised at the end of season 2 that there was going to be a Book of Boba Fett series, and it is done, and it is debuting on December 29th on Disney Plus. So the new Boba Fett stuff will probably be the next Mandalorian, and should be really interesting considering it's going to be about him taking over for Jabba the Hutt as the crime lord in Tatooine. So it should be pretty interesting. Done by the same creators who've done The Mandalorian. So that's pretty cool. Oh yeah, a museum lent an artist $84,000 to make a painting for them. The artist took the money and delivered an empty canvas and called it what do you call it? I forget what he calls it. It was like, getting away with it or something like that. So it was a blank canvas that he sent to the museum for $84,000 without anything on it. New age art is weird. And honestly, they probably could sell it to somebody for that much as well, since it's from that artist particularly. So that's kind of funny. Or they'll just put it up in their museum and say it's the next big thing, and people will turn it that way because the art world is weird. Next up, Pokemon Oreos. I talked a little bit about the Pokemon Oreos a while back, but they are now out in stores, and apparently you better keep an eye on which ones you have, because apparently certain specific Pokemon Oreos, particularly I think Mew and Mewtwo, are selling on eBay for hundreds of dollars. Yes, an Oreo with a picture of a Pokemon carved into it is selling for hundreds of dollars on eBay. Not an onion laying, not a joke, not lying. That is a true thing, and it's kind of sad. Apparently, the home market is booming right now. Real estate seems to be booming, and I can pretty much see that. There are houses in this neighborhood that go up for sale, and then a few days later, I drive by and the for sale sign is gone, meaning that someone has bought it, and you see moving trucks moving in. Had someone move into the house. I don't remember where I am now. Over there. After they left, that never went on the market though, but I did see a few real estate agents show them around, but there was never any signage. But I knew, being its neighbor, that someone was buying a house. It's a brand new neighbors there too. So but it's so good in Massachusetts that a realtor is selling a fire damaged house. I mean, not just a little damage. I mean, this sucker is like charred entirely on the outside and has massive damage on the inside and outside. And they call it a fixer up, and it can be yours for $400,000. A fire damaged house in Massachusetts is on the market for $400,000. Weird world. The big viral video of this week was a gentleman catching an alligator in a giant recyclable trash can. You see him with the big recyclable trash can, basically scoop the alligator up. And then they showed the video afterwards where he actually took it down to a swampy area and released it there so that it went back into the wild. So he didn't hurt it or harm it anyway, and it's still alive and enjoying his life now and forever. The new Disney film coming out in time for Thanksgiving called Encanto, with music by Lin-Manuel Miranda and starring the voice of Stephanie Beatrice, who was just recently on Brooklyn Nine-Nine. First trailer for it dropped. It is a magical story about a family, Latino family, in a magical house that grants everybody specific powers. Nothing like superpowers like superhuman strength or flight, but just little things here and there, like being able to fold things perfectly or make the perfect bed and stuff like that. But there's one girl who does not seem to have any power, and she's a little bit depressed because she's the only one that doesn't have this power. The rest of her family and extended family who's lived in this house has had this power as well. But then she starts noticing that something is going wrong, and the house is starting to crack a little bit, and her family's powers are starting to fluctuate, and in some cases they are losing them. So she has to figure out a way to save this house and get the magic back, which of course is probably what her whole reason for being is in the end. But it looks adorable. They didn't show any of the musical numbers, so they just get the idea of the story set up, and looks pretty good. entertaining somewhat anyway. The big football news for locally in Baltimore anyway. I did my last show on last Saturday, so I was lamenting the fact that we pulled off that win against the Chiefs, and I thought we would be able to hopefully take the Detroit Lions pretty good and get a good bounce back win. Well, it didn't quite go that way. We looked good for a little bit, first half, and if it weren't for a couple of drops by wide receiver Hollywood Brown, this game was a lot closer than it should be. If he would have caught those balls, we would have blown them out. But he didn't. And Justin Tucker, our kicker, missed a 49-yard field goal, which is unusual for him also. And then the next field goal that he made bounced off of the upright and went in. So it looked like he was having some trouble, but then he nailed a couple right down the middle a few times. So he seemed to get back in his groove. And just the second half comes, and we kept the Lions in the game, and they made a statement. They were running all over us. They were beating our secondary. They were, stifling our offense. So we weren't moving, and they got ahead of us for a while. So it comes down to I think they kicked a field goal, so they were up 17-16. They were up 17-16 with like 20 some seconds left or whatever. And the Ravens had 4th and 19. They were deep in their own territory, and Lamar got an amazing throw off to Sammy Watkins, I think, who caught it. And we had no timeouts, and we had a little bit of time, so they were able to move it slightly a little bit closer, but not by much. So they had no other choice, but with 3 seconds left on the clock, they decided to go with a Justin Tucker 66-yard field goal. Now, that seems a little crazy, and it is, because I think the record has been 64, 65. And earlier in the day, a team tried a 68-yard field goal, and instead it was not even close, and the returning team grabbed it and ran it back for a 109-yard touchdown. So that didn't work out. So, but they were inside the Lions indoor stadium, so there's no real air or weather worries in there. And one of the last times that they were in there, Justin Tucker hit his record long, I think a 63-yard field goal in there. So they said, what do we got to lose? We got 3 seconds left. Maybe Tucker can get one through. Who knows? We'll see what happens. So he kicks the field goal. It flies. It's straight. It looks like it's going to make it. Then it hits the crossbar, but then flips into through the bars for a 66-yard field goal. Ravens win after being dominated in the second half, 19-17 on a record-breaking field goal by Justin Tucker. Yes, that is, he now holds the record for longest field goal in an NFL football game. His jersey and football are presently being shown off in Canton, Ohio, which is where the NFL Football Hall of Fame is. So that's pretty amazing. So we got another interesting game tomorrow. We are in Denver, where the air is much thinner, so Tucker should be able to hit those 60-yarders again also, if need be. Denver is presently 3-0, but the teams that they have played are combined 0-9, includes the Jets. I think the Jaguars are in there, and there's one other really bad team that they've just dominated on. So we'll see what happens. Lamar has set out for a couple days practice with a sore back, but we're getting back the people we lost to COVID and getting back some other injured players. So we'll see what happens. And Le'Veon Bell has been activated off the practice squad, so who knows if he's going to make an appearance in the game or not. We shall see. So we will see tomorrow. They have a game at 4:20. 4:20. So no 1 o'clock football for me, and that's fine. I can play Fortnite or read, or wanted to put out my Halloween decorations, but my neighbor who does my lawn has been ignoring his duties to mow my lawn and do my gardening, which I offered to pay him. I mean, I always pay him for mowing my lawn, but he offered to take care of my garden. I said, go ahead, and he hasn't done it yet. So I'm a little disappointed that I haven't gotten my yard fixed. It's grass is really, really high and it's not like, oh, it can wait a little while. No, it needs to be cut. And I don't really have a workable lawnmower, but that's why I've been paying. I didn't really want to do it either. That's why I've been paying this guy to do it. And yet he's not doing it. So what I've ended up doing now is I will probably order one of these push mowers, not a gas one, not a electric one, just a regular little push mower, and just because my yard is so small, and just get it and do it my own now, and then maybe eventually teach one of the kids to do it because it's not as dangerous as a gas or electrical one. So looks like I'll be doing Halloween decorations next week now, unless he miraculously mows my lawn early tomorrow morning. So I doubt that's going to happen. A 21-year-old parent of a 15-year-old girl went to TikTok and was talking about how she hates not being taken seriously in her daughter's life. Now, before y'all go, holy shit, if my math is correct, that means she had her when she was 6 years old. No, that's not the case. In fact, she has gained custody of the child after her parents died. I don't know. I don't think they're physically related. I think she became, or maybe they are, she became the guardian and the court allowed it. And so she's trying her best to be the mom because she figures that this girl had no one else and she needed someone, but she feels that she's not being taken seriously enough. So kind of an interesting story. So we'll see what happens. Excuse me. I was talking about Fat Bear Week. A woman boiling bear urine to drink, apparently because of its health benefits, ends up starting a forest fire. So that's kind of interesting. My friend Gary let me know that there was another case where someone was boiling water and caused a forest fire also. And that's just, both of those seem kind of weird. But the bear urine thing is, First of all, where do you get bear urine? Do they actually have that like at a hunting shop? Is that supposed to? Because I would think that if you were using bear urine to attract people to hunt, like animals to hunt, like deer or whatever, you wouldn't want to put bear piss down because that would mean that bears were nearby there and it would scare them away. Now, if they're hunting bears, maybe that's a different story. Maybe they smell the bear piss and they feel that someone is trying to take over their territory, and so they go towards where the bear piss is, and you're waiting there and you kill them. So there's bear hunting season. That's probably what it is. She probably went to a hunting shop and got it. Apparently, she must have heard somewhere that bear piss has a healthy aspect to it to, I don't know, heal you from COVID or something. I don't know. I know Goldie Hawn used to drink her own urine because basically, as she stated, is that basically what urine is waste water. Basically, your body can only house so much water in its system. And it's also used to flush out bad stuff or extra vitamins, stuff like that. So when you're peeing, you're getting rid of your excess water that's in your body. And so what her point is that because this water's been through all the systems and has gone through your systems and has picked up a lot of excess nutrients and vitamins as well, it's basically like drinking vitamin water for the most part. That's human urine. Now, I don't know about this bear urine stuff. I haven't heard anything about it until I saw this story, so I couldn't tell you. So whatever. Yeah. A new lizard species has been discovered in the Peruvian Andes. So again, in all this terrible time with animals going extinct all the time and global warming and all that stuff, it's nice to see that there are some new species out there that are still coming and stuff like that. Yeah, Paul Thomas Anderson, who hasn't made a movie in quite a while, has released a trailer for a new movie. I gotta find it here. I can't read my handwriting. Paul Thomas Anderson, there he is. Mr. Anderson. Licorice Pizza. That's right. That's what it is. Licorice Pizza is his first new movie in years. And he released a trailer for it this week. But what's interesting about that is Philip Seymour Hoffman, who he has worked with before and has passed away a few years now. Philip Seymour Hoffman's son has a starring role in Licorice Pizza. So that's kind of a neat little nod to an actor who did a lot of stuff with PTA. So it's kind of good about that. A massive merging of two heavyweight agencies in California that handle the agencies for film actors and TV actors, stuff like that. CAA and ICM have formed a merger. Those are the two biggest agencies in Los Angeles. They're now one big, massive, giant one. So I don't know what the consequences of that are, if any. So we'll see. School kids on a field trip discover a fossil of an unknown giant penguin species from the past. So they discovered a new giant penguin species on a field trip. And those are always kind of the neat stories too, where young kids happen to stumble upon something that grown-ups have never seen before, been able to find, or were even looking for, whatever. It's kind of a neat thing too. Fans of Back to the Future should rejoice because two of the actors from Back to the Future will be teaming up in a Hallmark Christmas movie. Christopher Lloyd and Leah Thompson will be teaming up in a new Christmas movie from the Hallmark Channel. Don't know much about it, but Hallmark Channel Christmas movies are huge, and to have two members of the Back to the Future cast working together again is always a good thing to see. There was a comic book that came out from Dark Horse Comics, I believe, an independent book called Department H, and Netflix has bought the rights to it. And it's going to be for director Alice Washington, I guess. So it's going to be fronted by a female writer-director, so that's pretty cool. Everyone knows how terrible Los Angeles's traffic is. You've seen the pictures many times, particularly Los Angeles, is because apparently Los Angeles County has more people than like 9 states. So maybe not combined, but like they have more people than Maryland, they have more people than Montana or something like that. But you've seen the pictures. But in order to take advantage of that, a taco truck has decided to, I guess, pull off to the side on a shoulder or whatever and open up for business. So anyone who's stuck in traffic, not moving whatever, or moving very slowly, if they want to get a quick taco, just run on in there, grab yourself a taco. And, you get one person do it, then a group of people doing it. So in the end, it's going to make traffic even worse, but at least you won't be hungry. So only in California, baby. Only in the UK, dangerous levels of drugs have been discovered in Glastonbury Festival River. So I guess Glastonbury Festival is a area. I guess Glastonbury is an area. We know that. And I guess Glastonbury Festival is some sort of concert event or whatever. And apparently there's water nearby there, and either it's from peeing or people emptying the drugs into the water so they don't get busted or whatever. However it is, but the levels of the drugs in the water around Glastonbury Festival are extraordinarily high. So that's kind of interesting. Pittsburgh has always been almost a sister city to Baltimore. It is a very similar makeup, blue collar. People has its own identity on the water, and that might be one of the reasons why the Baltimore Ravens Pittsburgh Steelers rivalry is so heated, is because we're basically the same, because that was always what I was told about my high school rival, Delaney. Delaney High School was a newer high school that was built after there were just too many people in Towson High School. So they built Delaney High School and took half of the students from Towson and put them in Delaney. And that's what started the rivalry there, because it's family, I guess, for the most part, or similar things. And Pittsburgh and Baltimore are similar like that. But one thing that Pittsburgh did this week, the city council, which is outstanding, is they have outlawed, or rather I should say banning, cat declawing. So you cannot declaw your cats in Pittsburgh, which is amazing, because declawing cats is a terrible, awful thing to do to your cats. It's cutting off their fingers for the most part, just because you don't want your fancy carpet or your sofa to be wrecked. You decide to declaw your cat, and it's a horrible thing. It's literally cutting off a piece of this cat's existence. And I'm glad that Pittsburgh is the first city to ban it, and hopefully will not be the last. And now it's time for Baltimore to step up and do the same too. Now, I have experience with a declawed cat. I did not declaw the cat. My dad's second wife, he's on his third one right now, his second wife was a cat lover, and she rescued a cat on the side of the road that was declawed, and we were looking for a new cat, so they gave it to us, and it turned out to be our cat, Gracie. But she was declawed in the front, not by us again, but by others. And we loved her, and always did. And she lived a good, long life. So, but we did not do it. I think it's a terrible, terrible thing to do that. Now, Jinx, our cat we have presently, is not declawed. Again, we still got her from someone else, but they did not declaw her, and she is perfectly fine right now. So hopefully that'll catch on, and that'll be good. R. Kelly was found guilty on all counts in a sex trafficking trial. Bravo to that, but now it's time to hit Matt Getz with the same stuff. Since this is a precedent now, we can go after him and get him out of Congress as well, because he too is a sex trafficker as well. Babylon 5, the TV show that came out around the same time as DS9 and had a very similar feel to it, is getting a reboot coming to the CW by the original creator, J. Michael Straczynski. So it's not like some other person said, what we should do? We should do a reboot of Babylon 5. Yeah, let's just do it. No, the creator of Babylon 5, J. Michael Straczynski, is like, you know what? Let's do a reboot and get, Babylon 5 back on track. So he's probably going to write a number of the episodes and maybe even direct it. I don't know if he ever directed any of the other ones, but it was a cult classic film, and it was, I guess, apparently first brought up to try to compete with Star Trek Deep Space Nine, but in the end they had their own fan bases, and they were able to coexist. So good on that. Paul Verhoeven, the Danish director of such American classics as Total Recall and Starship Troopers, Basic Instinct, and Showgirls, RoboCop as well is one of his big things. He also made a bunch of films in Denmark and stuff like that, where he's from, and he's most recently been getting some prestige with some of the movies he's made after Showgirls. After he made Showgirls, he sort of disappeared from America, went back to Denmark, was making films there. Made one called Black Book, about a woman who was used as a spy for the Allies against Nazis, going so far as to having sex with them and stealing information from that. And I think there was another one that he did. Now, in Denmark, the movies do not have such puritanical stringencies as the American movies do. So that's why, he was pushing the boundaries with his Showgirls and the Basic Instinct, stuff like that, with showing the sex and the nudity and stuff like that. It is regular for him because Denmark has none of this puritanical belief that sex is terrible, should not be shown on screen, blah, 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 like they do have here in America, despite the fact that we have more sex offenders because, there's no outlet for their sexual frustrations except against other people, when we should be making movies for them, I guess. I don't know, whatever. Regardless, but his movies, in Denmark tend to be a bit more racy than they are here in America. He also was a huge proponent of more violence, obviously, as you see from his first film, RoboCop. The propensity for that is there. And then in some of his other movies, the nudity is a lot more prevalent as well. Obviously, Showgirls is the biggest example of Basic Instinct as well. Hell, there's a deleted scene in Basic Instinct that shows Michael Douglas actually physically going down on Sharon Stone. So they never aired that. So whatever, they deleted it out because it probably wouldn't rated X here because of our puritanical beliefs. Anyway, he has got a new movie coming out. The new trailer came out, and the description of it is his erotic lesbian nun movie called Benedicta or Benedita. Gets his first trailer. It's a erotic lesbian nun romance, and takes place like in the old times, like the 17th, 18th centuries and stuff like that. And it is, they didn't show any of the, deeply sexual stuff that apparently is in this, except for one shot of a woman looks like she's climaxing on top of somebody. So we'll see what that is. But when you have an erotic lesbian nun romance with Paul Verhoeven's name on it, it's probably going to be a little bit racy. So we got that going on. The Bristol half marathon, Bristol is another UK country, disqualified the winner of the half marathon because he got lost doing one of the other races and ended up doing the half marathon and ended up winning it. So they disqualified him because he was not officially signed up to do the half marathon, despite the fact that he still won it. And it started on the same, a lot of the road races, they start on the same path, but because the half marathons are longer, they go a different way. The 10Ks go this way, the 5Ks go this way, and he got confused and he followed the half marathon, people thinking that's what he needed to do. And he ended up winning it, but then they disqualified him. I think that's kind of stupid. But what am I going to do? I should have done this. I just realized I should have done this after the Paul Verhoeven stuff. So gorillas, which are a very close approximation to humans, obviously, were on video putting on a live oral sex show for a bunch of shocked parents and kids who went to the zoo to look at monkeys and gorillas and happened to see one going down on the other, which is kind of funny when it comes to the fact that gorillas are that much closer to humans and they enjoy that type of stuff as well. So interesting. But of course, everyone's freaking out about that, and just like, come on, man, seriously. Let them do their thing. The 6th season of the anime My Hero Academia, which is hugely popular, has been greenlit. The 5th season just ended, so the 6th season will probably be out sometime next year because they've got to animate it and vocal record it and so on and so forth. So the manga is still ongoing, so it's going to continue the storyline as well. But it is official. A 6th season will be popping up in My Hero Academia. Northern Ireland is having a clown shortage. So much so that Americans have been sending American clowns over to help with clown cases, clown questions, bro, stuff like that. Interesting. Let's see. The Boys, popular show on Amazon, I think, based on the comic by Garth Ennis that is hugely violent and sexual and a little more adult than usual. And the show is just as crazy and it's done real good. It's done so good that they are creating a spinoff that is going to be showrun by 2 women, which was one of the problems that people have had with the boys' misogynistic tendencies. And in this case, we have a show spinning off of it with 2 female showrunners, which should make it interesting. And they're fairly, I'm trying to place their names, but they are fairly famous showrunners, Michelle Fazekas and Tara Butters. I've seen their names before. And it's driving me crazy that I can't remember where I saw them from. Let me just Michelle Fazakis is the most famous one that I remember. Michelle there she is, TV producer. Law and Order Special Victims Unit is what she's mostly known for. Oh, she just did Reaper. That's right. She's written Captain Marvel. That's what it was. She was writing the Captain Marvel comic for a while there. That's right. That's where I knew her name from. And Tara Butters. I know her from something else too. Tara Butters, a screenwriter. Yeah, pretty much doing the same things. Yeah, she teams up with Fazakis, so it's like they're a partnership. So they both were authors of Captain Marvel as well, work together and stuff like that. So that's where I recognize her voice. I knew I recognized them from somewhere. So that's good. So good on that. So we'll see if it's going to be more of a female-centric one, which I think would be actually really cool to see a bunch of badass superhero women kicking men's asses and treating them like garbage as well. I think that'd be kind of cool. Couple of deaths here. Takano Sato, the creator of Golgo 13, dies at the age of 84. Tommy Kirk, a child actor known for his roles on Old Yeller, Swiss Family Robinson, died at the age of 79. And I think there's only one other that I have on here. Jean Hale, actress who was married to Dabney Coleman and was on the Batman 1960s TV show, was the Mad Hatter's girlfriend, also died this week as well. So I haven't seen as many celebrity deaths recently, so that's, I guess, a good thing. But still kind of upsetting. Arcanine, which is one of the more popular Pokemon out there, has a giant plush that is almost the size of a massive headboard almost. So you can now get yourself a giant Arcanine plush toy if you're a fan of that. Some sad news when it comes to death. A woman and her 2-year-old son were killed after a fall from the 3rd level of Petco Park in San Diego just before a Padres game. So that was kind of an upsetting sort of story that came out there. This past week, September 29th, was on Wednesday, I guess, and it was the 34th anniversary of the opening or the premiere of Star Trek Next Generation. So Star Trek Next Generation is 34 years old this week. The first of a few casting things. I think I'll try to collect them all together and look through my paperwork. Rowan Atkinson, Sally Hawkins, and Olivia Colman have joined the Wonka film that's starring Timothy Chalamet, which is, I guess, going to focus on Willy Wonka's early life and how he got the Oompa Loompas and got the candy factory up and running and so on and so forth. So we'll see. I guess it's interesting. Where's some other casting news? Julie Louis-Dreyfus joins Eddie Murphy and Jonah Hill in Kenya Boss's film or Bones film, something like that film, comedy for Netflix. Not much is known about it, but have that superpower casting in it is pretty interesting. Donald Sutherland, who has been heard for a while, is joining young actor Jaden Martell to star in a Stephen King adaptation of one of his short stories, Mr. Harrigan's Phone. So more Stephen King to come. Let's see. Any other casting here that I need to talk about before I get that? I don't see any others. Nope. So we've gotten the lineup for the Super Bowl halftime show, which is going to be in Los Angeles this year. Who we got is we've got a who's who basically of usually popular music is going to be rolling through here. So it's not going to be just one person, it's going to be multiple. We've got Kendrick Lamar. We've got Eminem. We've got Dr. Dre. We've got Mary J. Blige. And we've got Snoop Dogg. All are going to be performing at the Super Bowl halftime show in LA this year. So it's not one band, not one person. It's a group of people who are going to either do a bunch of solo songs or and then come together for one big song where they're all going to sing it together, or it's just going to be them all together to begin with, sing each other's songs. So I don't know. We'll have to wait and see about that. So we'll see that. Apple Studios has bought the rights to the new George Clooney Brad Pitt thriller by John Watts, who directed the Spider-Man trilogy with Tom Holland right now. So his film that's not Spider-Man is coming. It's after he finishes Spider-Man, obviously. He's probably going to segue into this George Clooney Brad Pitt film, which Netflix has, that Apple has just bought. Apple Streaming has just bought. So that's what's going to be going on with that. What is that? I have no idea what this says, so I'll keep that there. What the hell is this? Oh, a new Super Crooks. That's what it is. Super Crooks animated show. I think Super Crooks is Mark Millar and one of his things. An animated series is coming to Netflix starting on November 25th. There is a Ron Weasley Latte off a Starbucks secret menu that you asked for. Don't know exactly what's in it, but hey, that's pretty cool that you get that. Dave Dinger, a former Marine, has completed an unsupervised Atlantic row, which basically means he rowed across the Atlantic Ocean by himself, rowed in a rowboat from New York to the UK across the Atlantic Ocean. A former Marine, and he had no assistance, and they showed a picture of him. His hands were fully calloused and sore, and understandable, gripping that and fighting the current, making sure you're staying steady and stuff like that, and having to particularly with the rowboat, trying to adjust it. I mean, I can't even imagine. They said it was unassisted. So how did he sleep or eat or go to the bathroom? I don't know. I really don't know, and it's kind of fascinating. Think about it. Newlyweds say I do on the U.S.-Canadian border so that the bride's family can come watch the wedding, because they couldn't because of COVID, stuff like that. So they were able to keep it from a long distance away from that. Have not watched the most recent What If for this week, but last week's, I don't remember doing a review of it, was the Party Thor episode, which was actually extraordinarily funny. Had Chris Hemsworth, Tom Hiddleston's the voice of it, Samuel L. Jackson, Clark from who played the one S.H.I.E.L.D. agent everybody loves that was on Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. I forget his name right now. Who else did they have in there? They had most everybody, but it was a fun thing where the premise was, what if Thor grew up as an only child without Loki as his brother? He did not have, Loki sort of keep him on the straight and narrow sort of thing. So he became this big partier and would go and party all across the galaxy and cause problems, stuff like that. And so he comes to Earth. Natalie Portman's voice in there as well. And I keep forgetting, but they had lots of the actors' names in there. So that was kind of interesting to see all that. So that was good on that. Pretty good, interesting episode, but the What If is not must see TV for me. We still haven't watched this new episode yet, and honestly, I'm okay with not checking it out. Hopefully, we'll see it sometime, but it's just not must see TV. Now, Hawkeye, I think, will be, and that's coming out in November, so we got about a month to go before that. Xbox Game Pass players show that there are hidden cheats in Skatebird, which is a game about a skateboarding bird. I just wanted to mention that because it's a video game about a skateboarding bird. God, I can't even read this one either. I can't read this one. Also about football this week, a referee caused a fumble. Oh, I know what this is now. Here's a couple football stories. Caused a fumble when he threw a flag at a football that was coming into a player's hand that was going to be a big running catch, maybe even a touchdown. He threw the flag at it, and the flag has this little weight in it so that it can fly a little bit, and the ball was coming, and it hit the ball perfectly and caused the fumble, an incomplete pass. So that's kind of interesting. The Washington football team, their kicker, recovered his own kick, apparently in a bizarre play that happened last Sunday as well. He kicked off. The opposing team fumbled it, and after a little bit bobbling here like that, the kicker recovered his own kick, and Washington got the ball back. I think they ended up going down there and scoring a touchdown. A gravestone missing for 150 years was discovered being used as a marble slab to make fudge. And that's kind of a bizarre, weird little story about that. I see what this is now. Yeah, so that's kind of a bizarre little thing to happen. Speaking of fudge, there's a place in the Inner Harbor called the Fudgery at Harbor Place, which is the band Drew Hill started there because the people who work the Fudgery, they stop and they start singing songs, stuff like that. I don't know if the Fudgery still even exists anymore at the Inner Harbor, since the Inner Harbor has slowly started to degrade a little bit. And the newest thing about that now is across the street from the Inner Harbor, they built a hotel and shopping thing a few years after the Harbor Place opened up to get more people to come down there. So it was a 4-story sort of mall. And then on top of that was a fancy hotel, which Dawn and I, my wife, stayed in for our first New Year's together. And my dad and I used to go shopping at that place called the Galleria at Christmas time for last minute Christmas gifts and stuff like that. Well, the Galleria is suffering sort of the same fate that's going on down at the Inner Harbor, Harbor Place. People just either aren't going shopping, or the shops just aren't able to make money or hold the business, so they have to leave. The owners of the Galleria are going to shut down the mall part of the Galleria by the end of the year, which I think is kind of a sad thing. You could just go ahead and refurbish it because everybody loves shopping. You could just get new shops in there, or try to get reorganized or whatever. But do something to save it. But they're not going to. They're just going to let it die. So that's kind of sad. More proof that evangelicals have no idea about anything about God or Jesus or the Bible, that they keep thumping on and are so influential that they're causing a shift in our government in a bad way. But this one evangelical pastor claims that Jesus will come back sooner if people donate more money. Now, this goes hand in hand with the story I told you last week about the evangelical pastor who said that Jesus wants you to pay for his private jet so he doesn't have to take on the demons that are in regular airplanes. Again, you people are so stupid and naive that you believe all this bullshit. You cannot see that these guys are trying to fleece you for everything you got, and it's sad and depressing, and there's no trying to convince you because you will just ignore us like you always do. And you deserve what you get. Big news. Disney and Scarlett Johansson, who have been having a bitter feud since July for the most part, when Scarlett was pissed off that Disney put Black Widow, I should say, in movie theaters and Disney Plus at the same time. Granted, you had to pay $30 to access Scarlett. I keep saying Scarlett because it's Scarlett Johansson, Black Widow, and that's what we did because we didn't want to go to the movie theaters. We wanted to see it. So in her contract, she was only going to get a percentage of. She got paid up front, but she was also wanted a percentage of the gross of the movie theater because Marvel movies are going to make bank. So if you have that in your contract and your movie makes $1 billion, you get a piece of that. So that's what Scarlett believed when she signed it and made the film back in 2019 when it was supposed to come out. Right? Yeah. Mm-hmm. No, it's supposed to come out in 2020, right? Yeah, it's supposed to come out in 2020. It was made in 2019 when she signed the contract. And then when it didn't make as much money in movie theaters because they had this extra money coming in from Disney Plus and people seeing it there. Scarlett didn't see a bit of that. Even if you combine the two, then you might get what the gross might have been, and you could have paid her dividend from both the streaming and movie theaters. But in this case, the contract just stated you only get a piece of the movie theater stuff. So she didn't like that idea. So she sued them and they got into a big argument and they settled this week. So everything's all good and above board. Disney has already signed her to a new film coming up soon. So, or not coming up soon, but she's going to start working on it probably next year sometime. Not a Marvel film, I think it's based on one of those things where they base a movie on a ride at Disneyland, Disney World. So I think it's like Tower of Terror or something like that. So we'll see what comes of that. But she came to an agreement. Excuse me. Specifics are not available, but people believe it is upwards of $40 million. Some new candy bars coming out here. First, Reese's Peanut Brittle Cups will be coming out this holiday season. It is a Reese's Peanut Butter Cup that is stuffed with peanut brittle pieces. It's kind of genius, kind of interesting idea. It'll be out for holidays. It's a holiday style candy, since peanut brittle is mostly a holiday thing, but should be kind of interesting to see that. I wouldn't mind trying that, I guess. And my wife didn't like the sound of this, but I think it might be kind of neat. Is a Cinnabon Snickers. So Snickers is going to be having a cinnamon bun flavored candy bar, which I think might actually be pretty good as well. So we'll see when that comes out. Cruel Intentions, which was a film that came out in 1999 with Ryan Philippe, Reese Witherspoon, and my girl, Sarah Michelle Gellar, and was a huge hit. Back in 2016, after she only lasted one season on the Crazy One since the show was canceled by CBS, Sarah Michelle Gellar filmed a pilot which would bring Cruel Intentions to TV and follow her character, the evil character from Cruel Intentions, as she runs her own girls' boarding school or something like that. Pilot was not picked up, so Sarah said, okay, fine, I'll just move on, do other things, and she did. But now, here, 5 years later, IMDb TV, which is the home of the new Leverage series, has decided they want to do a Cruel Intentions show. No word yet if Sarah Michelle Gellar is going to be involved or if they're just going to basically do the movie as a TV version, instead of following up on what happened after, which is what the one that Sarah worked on. So, don't know. We'll find out. I talked to you about the snowfall in Fairbanks, snowfall in Anchorage, Alaska. Well, up in New Hampshire, Mount Washington, which is one of the more famous weather stations up there, has recorded their first snowfall of the year. So snow is starting as it's getting colder. We're actually going through a bit of a heat snap now. We're about 79 degrees today. It's going to be about 80-something tomorrow, I think. Let's take a look at the upcoming forecast here. Today was 82 degrees. Tomorrow will be 84 degrees. I'm sorry. It's Sunday, so I'm sorry. I keep saying it's after midnight. So Sunday is going to be 82 degrees. Monday is going to be 84. Tuesday, 7. This is in Reisterstown, by the way. 79. Wednesday, 77. Thursday, 75. Friday, 73. Saturday, 73. Sunday, 73. Monday, 75. Tuesday, 77. So we're going to go for a little bit of a roller coaster ride, but we're going to get a little cool. But the lows aren't going to stay that low. They're going to be in the 60s instead of the 40s, which is what it's been lately. So, I don't know what's going on with that, but it is October, so we should hopefully start seeing a change in trees and stuff like that. But those temperatures really don't seem conducive to getting good color in the leaves. We'll find out. It's going to hit me sometime mid-October. I'm driving home from work on 795 in the middle of the day and just surrounded by trees, and I start noticing the oranges and the yellows. So hopefully that'll be good. So we'll see what happens with that. So good on that. Since it is, Halloween month or whatever, many amusement parks in the area do special Halloween events because they're not usually open for business during the off season because everyone's back in school, at work, and stuff like that. So they're not getting the traffic that they did during the summer when everybody was, when kids were off and stuff like that. But Halloween is always a good time to do that. And one of them in nearby Maryland, in Landover, Maryland, was Six Flags America, which does a Fright Fest every year. When I worked for WLAF 101.9, we used to do Sunday nights there. We would go there Sunday nights and we'd set up our booth and stuff like that. I think we even judged costume contests and stuff like that. So we did that for a couple Sundays during October events, stuff like that. But this year, Six Flags America is going to start limiting entry after a large fight broke out in the park. I mean, large enough that it caused the park to go say, whoa, we're not going to do that. So we're not going to allow that to happen. So they are limiting the amount of people who can come in now due to this. So that's why I can't have nice things, because people always find a way to screw it up. Museums. The Academy Museum of Motion Pictures was announced a couple years ago, was going to be built in California, and it's going to celebrate everything about the movies and stuff like that. It is now finally open to the public, and we will see what will come with that. Maybe they'll start talking a bit about it next Academy Award season, which is coming up in a few months here. So we'll see what happens. One thing I'm always sad about was there was Jeppy's Entertainment Museum downtown right there next to Camden Yards, the baseball stadium. And it was a pop culture museum, took over one floor of this old building that was literally right next to Camden Yards. And it was a fun little place of pop culture, rooms that had collections, pop culture dating back from like 1900 to like 1920, then 1920 to 1940, 1940 to 1960, 1960, 1980, 1980 to present day and stuff like that. So they did these really cool museums with Steve Jeppy's collection of action figures and pop culture stuff he's picked up. And of course, he had a giant comic book room because he's the comic book guy that had all kinds of, like Amazing Fantasy 15 and X-Men 1 and stuff like that, all on display as well. And I was down there a few times. I loved it. Steve Jeppy was my boss for a period of time when I worked for Diamond himself. So I always thought it was great. And then they closed it down due to not enough, I guess, interest in it, which is a shame. I mean, granted, there wasn't a lot of advertising for it. It's kind of hard to find if you don't know what you're looking for, because it was in the same building as the Baltimore Sports Museum, which was another really neat museum to take a look at. But again, that one shut down as well. But in this case, the Library of Congress decided they were going to display Steve's stuff because it is historical and stuff like that. So they packed it up and they took everything from the Gem Museum and moved it to a spot in the Library of Congress. Well, the Jeppy's Gems, which is the name of the museum, is now finally opened as well. Basically is a new version of the Gem Museum, but this time it's within the Library of Congress. So that's an interesting thing to cover as well. A couple more stories here left. Scientists have put out a new theory about the extinction of the dinosaurs. Now, everybody believes that two comets or asteroids hitting the Earth caused the extinction of the dinosaurs. Well, a couple of scientists said, maybe not so fast. They believe that there was a climate change similar to what we're going through here too. And also, due to this climate change, a lot more herbivores were being killed off. And that is the primary food for the metosauruses, so the carnivores. So they started to get extinct because they didn't have any food to eat. I'm not sure I 100% agree with this one. And then, of course, the asteroids came in and finished them off. But they believe that the asteroids themselves might not entirely have been the cause of extinction of dinosaurs. So that's to be continued. They're still investigating it, stuff like that. An 88-year-old grandfather still plays footy, which is the English version of soccer. It's called football over there, or footy. And he still plays it at a high level with the grandsons of his old teammates. So I think it's kind of cool. And the last story for this shortened episode of Dylan Knows is because, honestly, there really wasn't much happening this week. That I've noticed the last couple of weeks that, my shows have gotten shorter because I don't have as much stuff to talk about. But that's not because I'm not finding stuff. There's just nothing out there. Nothing's really happening. The Baltimore Orioles are one game away from finishing their terrible season. Everyone is believing that this is rock bottom for the Orioles, that starting next year, this rebuild that's been going on now for 3 years is going to finally start showing dividends. They're not going to be like contenders next year, but they're probably going to be losing about 110 games this year, which is not the record, so they don't have that, which is good. They did win a few more than the worst team ever to play the game. I forget who that is right now. It's the Mariners or the Lions or the Tigers or something like that. But no, everyone believes now that these young people that we've been drafting and have been getting seasoned and have been showing off how good they are in the farm systems are now going to be ready to come up, and they believe that we're going to be able to cut our losses possibly in half. That hopefully, if this rebuild is to work, that next year we should be only losing between 50 and 70 games. So still losing records, still not championship caliber stuff. I don't know, 162 games. If you have 50 losses, puts it at 112 wins, right? No, that's not right. Yeah, that would put it. Yeah, so maybe not 50, but like they're thinking maybe 70 losses, dropping down from 110. They're going to pick up about maybe 30 some games wins, which would shift the balance from make it to be like an 87. 70 something. Yeah, well, we'll see. We'll see what happens. But they're predicting that they're probably not going to lose 110 games next year. So we'll see. But anyway, regardless. So they're playing their last game tomorrow. They've lost the first two against the Blue Jays. They're playing their last game of the season tomorrow in Toronto. And then their season's done because there's no way they're not going to be there. They're not in the playoffs, obviously. But they can play spoilers. And they did in their final homestand. The final homestand was against the Boston Red Sox, who were in a 3-way tie with the Seattle Mariners and the New York Yankees for the final wild card spot. And the Orioles won 2 of 3 games against Boston. And this, in turn, helped the Seattle Mariners. The Seattle Mariners fans were Orioles fans, and because they want their team to make the playoffs, obviously, and that Boston gets shut out. So when the Orioles did their job and beat Boston 2 of 3 games, to put Seattle in really good position, a lot of fans from Seattle wanted to thank Baltimore, so they would give money to any charities that the Orioles sponsored. The main one that they went after was the Mo Gabba one, which was at the Johns Hopkins Children's Hospital. So tons of fans dropping $25, $50 donations to this charity and for Mo and children's cancer and stuff like that. And it's just an amazing sight to see sports bringing people together in this way. They didn't need to do this, but they felt that they need to give the Orioles something for helping them stay in contention. So they gave my it's a trend that's popped up a few times as well. I think there was another story on sports radio. There's a sports radio announcer by the name of Coleman, and he was consistently dissing the Buffalo Bills fan base because of their tendency to call themselves Bills Mafia and to jump on tables. I mean, literally like wrestling move tables, smash them and stuff like that. Called them ignorant, stupid, and Buffalo's a awful city. And it was like nothing too outrageous, a little bit of a sniping, war of words, whatever. When Coleman's mother either got cancer or died of cancer. I forget the whole thing. This happened last year, I think. A lot of these Buffalo Bills fans who, I guess, despised him a little bit, wanted to prove, I guess, that they weren't all bad and started giving money to cancer groups to help his mom and stuff like that. And Coleman thought that was really nice and, did a semi sort of apology, but no, not really, but enough so that it's still kind of neat that when stuff like this happens, it happens. Well, folks, that's it for this. We're going to start working on episode 412 starting tomorrow. What's going on this week? Only one big thing happening really this week. On Monday, my lovely wife and I will be celebrating our 18th wedding anniversary. We'll be going out to dinner to the place we went on our first anniversary for our wedding anniversary. So it should be nice. But other than that, that's really the only big thing going on that I know of for this week. So we'll see what this week brings us. Well, next week we'll probably talk about Ravens. We'll talk about whatever pops up, and we'll continue with our October fun time. So thanks for watching. Now get some sleep. It's after midnight. It's actually after 12:30. Time for bed, and have a good night, and we'll see you next week.